Victoria's Secret's model, breast cancer thriver, Christine Handy with Mullet Champion, Proud Flatty, Sears, Flat Out Secrets.
So Becky, I want you to meet my friend Christine. Christine, meet Becky. And Becky is a flatty that I met in Colorado last year. So,
yes,
and Christine,
nice.
obviously.
Nope. I'm very, very happy to meet you, Christine.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm good.
I liked the interview. It was good. It was good.
Well, I was okay. A little diversion here. I went to New York this week. Becky, I don't know if you saw that interview, and I was on Pix 11, and my manager said, "Oh, it's being recorded. You know, the anchor who's on the 5 o'clock news, she'll do it, you know, somewhere between 4 and 5, and it's like a 6 or 7 minute segment, which is long because you don't want it to be quick because my story is so big, as you know, it's years and years and years, and 2 minutes doesn't work. So I was like, okay, no problem. I got on set at like 4, and Pix 11 is a huge network in New York. And so I'm walking through the network, and there's TV screens everywhere, and there's people, you know, all over the place. And all of a sudden I see my face on the TV, and I was like, and then they go, "Oh, Christine Handy, Cancer Disruptor is up next." And I was like, "Is this live?" And the producer who is walking me into the studio goes, "Yeah, you're on at the 5 o'clock news." And I was like, "Oh, this is supposed to be recorded. I'm not at all prepared for live."
Yeah.
So minutes
whole
they
different animal.
Huh?
It's a whole different animal when you're live.
It is a different animal, and it worked out fine. But I whatever. It worked out.
I thought it was good. The one thing I'm intrigued with you don't say flat, you say you call yourself concave, not flat.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm not flat. I mean, I'm really not. I think if you've had aesthetic flat closure, you're flat. I had more revisions and implants than anybody on the planet. And then I had a MRSA infection and breast implant illness, and it is concave. It really is.
Yeah, me too. I call it the C word. I'm the C word because that's what women who are diagnosed or women who are considering an explant, that's the big fear word, right? Is concave. Oh no, I'm gonna concave. So that's why I started calling it the C word.
Okay.
Because if we give it that much power, then we're going to be petrified. And it's really not that big of a deal, I don't think.
Well, I have no problem being concave. I've done a lot with being concave. I went back to modeling concave. And so I don't have an issue with it. But if I said flat, I felt like I would be dishonest. It's not flat.
Well, you're flatter than you are not. You know what I mean? So to like our community, you're a flatty. You know, even though you're concave.
I didn't even know the verbiage until like you and I kind of met. Honestly, I didn't know that it was like a name. You know, I just thought I'm concave chest. I had breast and
actually an International Flat Day on October 7th is actually an actual thing. They've made that an actual day. So I don't know if it's on all the calendars, but it's an actual day now. It's October 7th.
That's amazing.
And I think it's pretty cool that they're really starting to recognize us more, you know, because I mean, the more and more we're hidden away and people don't see us, the more and more people are going to keep fighting for those try to get those implants because I can't live without something. What else is there? There's nothing else. I have to have boobs. And the more and more we're all seeing concave, flat, dog ears, all that stuff and living happy and healthy, I think the more we're going to get women and people going through cancer that aren't going to fight so hard just to go get those implants and have to go through what you guys went through.
Yeah.
It's funny. I mentor some breast cancer patients, and one of the young ladies who's become a friend of mine, but I also mentor her. She said to me, "I never even considered implants." And I was like, "You are wiser than most people that I know." And I said to her, "Well, why?" And she goes, "Well, I just wanted to be a mom. I wanted to go back to living." And that never occurred to me that I could just go flat and just go back to living. It never occurred to me. My doctor said, "This is the next step. Then you have a revision or 2 on each side." And I just thought that was normal.
Wow.
That's why we've got to be seen.
It did occur to me, and my husband actually wanted me to go flat. And I wanted to go flat at first. He said, yeah, just go flat. Just you don't need all those
Wow.
surgeries, and we can just get back to our lives. And
Good for him.
then, yeah. And then my healthcare team started saying things that really made me question, like, you're so young. And I call this the diagnosis narrative. You know, you're so young. You want to look normal in clothes, and oh, here, we made you an appointment with a plastic surgeon. Here's the folder. Just show up and talk to her about it. It's no big, just talk. And oh, what about bathing suit season? What are you going to do with bathing suits? And I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do with bathing suits. Oh my God. And then I start questioning myself, and I'm kind of worked up into a full-blown panic eventually. And I said to my husband, I have to get reconstruction. And he said, why? And I said, what if you die? I will be a middle-aged woman with 3 children and no boobs. How will I ever date anyone again? What will I do?
Yeah.
So,
How funny is that, really? Because honestly, I mean, that is so far from the truth that it blows my mind, really.
oh,
It really
and
is.
I think it goes to show how much work we have to do with the diagnosis narrative, and making flat closure an equal option, and telling women the benefits of it, and then, like you were saying, seeing other women who are living their lives flat. I
And
never
happy.
saw that. I didn't know anybody who was presenting flat. I had no idea.
Becky, can you share a little bit about your story? So you had breast cancer and then you had implants. Is that correct?
I did. I was diagnosed in March of 2017, and I had a double mastectomy, and then at the same time I had expanders placed, and then I had 12 rounds of chemotherapy, and so I had chemo through the whole summer, and then I did the exchange where they took out the expanders after 7 months and put in Mentor silicone implants.
After 7 months.
After 7 months.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. We were just talking to your doctor. Actually, is your doctor, Dr. Khan?
Yeah, he was my explant surgeon.
We were
Yep.
just talking to him, and he made this statement, which was so interesting. It's on the label of the implant box, or it's on the FDA, or maybe both, that
It's on the
says
label.
not a candidate who is going through or needs to go through chemotherapy should have an implant.
And
that's what happened to you.
Expanders. Expanders are not made to be used during any cancer treatment, it says.
I have that exact box, and it says women with active infection anywhere in their body should not get implants. Women with existing cancer or precancer of their breast who have not received adequate treatment for those conditions. Women who are currently pregnant or nursing. Tell your doctor if you have an autoimmune disease, planned chemotherapy or radiation following the implants. Conditions or medications, and depression. Don't get them if you have depression.
We should post that.
I saved it. And
we have a real problem with informed consent, and it's a really big problem.
You're working with that, aren't you?
Expand on that.
What do you? I'm not against women having a choice. If a woman wants to choose to have a reconstruction, I think she should be supported in that decision. Likewise. But I also think that every woman, whether she has breast cancer or whether she's augmenting just to have perkier breasts, should know all of the risks of breast implants. And Absolutely. The manufacturers know those risks, and they're on their websites. And there's a tiny little link on Mentor's website under the safety information tab of their website. And it's a teeny tiny little link. It says here, click here. And it goes to a 73-page PDF. Wow. That would absolutely blow your mind. 6 of those pages are possible adverse events. And yeah, including cancer and metastatic disease, neurological diseases.
We need to
Um,
post it.
Yeah,
yeah,
Post that link.
yeah.
So you,
women have the right to know.
let me go back to your story. Did you had the implants and what happened? Did you have breast implant illness?
Yes. So initially, when the implants were exchanged, or when they were exchanged, and I had the implants at first, I was pretty satisfied, and I thought, wow, I have a pretty good aesthetic look. And then they did drop, and I had to get 2 more lifts because the weight of the implants were too heavy for my skin, and those lifts didn't work. But my health after chemotherapy, instead of improving, I just continued to get sicker and sicker. So my health was declining. So when I was done with chemo, I weighed 136 pounds. I'm 5'10". And the day I got my implants removed, I weighed 111 pounds.
Wow. So you had breast illness.
Oh yeah, I couldn't digest food.
Wow.
So I had diarrhea 6-7 times a day. I had joint pain, brain fog, chronic fatigue, blurred vision, ringing in my ears. I was struggling to make it through a day of work.
Wow.
I just was constantly exhausted. I couldn't focus on anything. And I thought I was dying. I thought my cancer was back. And I went to 9 specialists trying to find out what is wrong with me. Why am I not bouncing back? And almost every single one of those specialists told me, this is your new normal after cancer. Your body's just not responding well after chemo's ending. And, we can prescribe you this medication and this medication for this symptom and this medication for this symptom. But this is your new normal. You're just going to have to cope with it. And I accepted that. I was, trying to figure out, how am I going to keep going feeling like this? And I
think a lot of people accept that.
You have no, I mean, we're supposed to accept that because it's from a professional. It's from a doctor who says that they will do no harm. So
and not one doctor.
That's who we're supposed to trust.
Yes. Yes.
So that's why there are advocates out there trying to say, okay, breast implant illness exists. This is a problem. And these are the symptoms. And, we need to be honest. There needs to be some authenticity out in the world. And, I think one of the biggest problems is big pharma and the connection that they have to these doctors who are getting paid from these implant companies who are, they're not being dishonest about being paid. They're getting paid.
Oh yeah.
It's not hidden. So their allegiance is to promote a product. I am a social media influencer. I promote products. I get paid to do that. I always look to see what the product is before I sign a contract that says I will promote that. It's the same thing. They're getting paid more than I'm getting paid, but it's the same thing.
Right.
I am representing a company that is paying me money.
It's a huge conflict of interest.
And I'm promoting that on my socials because they're paying me to do it and I believe in the product. But if I was being paid to promote implants, knowing that it was causing cancer, I wouldn't do that. That's an ethical issue for me. They're doing that. And that's why we need people like us who are saying, this is wrong. And this is what we need to talk about.
Absolutely.
You're trying to get things with the consent. What are you doing with that, Becky? Becky.
I'm working with a small group of women, and we're proposing legislation that would do just that. So it would require plastic surgeons to present women with proper informed consent of exactly all of the risks of breast implants, including the manufacturer's warnings that patients do not see. In fact, I don't know one patient that has ever gotten that brochure.
I don't know one patient that's seen the box.
And there's a brochure. They print a brochure with the warnings. And this is what I heard anyway. I've never seen it. But one of the women that I work with said she talked to a rep from Mentor. And the Mentor rep said, oh yeah, we throw a couple of those brochures in with a whole shipment of implants to the plastic surgeon, and they're welcome to ask for more, and they never do.
They probably never even look at them. But here's my thing too, is I think we talked about this before, or I just talked about it with all my drugs and medicine that I'm on, not, they tell you this and this and this and this side effects, and they give you all this long stuff, and it's attached to the bottle every month when I get the same medicine.
Exactly.
And they say it on the TV, may include blah, 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 breast cancer with my MS medicine. It says it on the commercial, how come they are not required to do the same thing?
Because no one's taking them.
Is it because
So-
it's not a medicine? Is that the difference?
It's a medical device.
Yeah,
But
it's a
because
medical
it's not an
device.
actual medicine though. Is that why there's the two different regulations for that? Because they have to with pills and infusions and stuff.
I
Well,
love that you're asking us.
And that's exactly why we're trying to do this legislation, because the FDA has recommended that surgeons give patients the informed consent, but it's a recommendation. And we all know that historically, the FDA is not real strong on their follow through or making people accountable for what they recommend.
we should
So-
do an FDA song. Instead of the Jack song, we need to do an FDA song because they're on my shit list. Like,
Well,
who are they protecting? I mean,
I
We
tell
need to get-
people,
We
if
need to
you
get with Jax.
know, if you want to know how well the FDA protects patients, watch the movie Dope Sick.
oh yeah, no, I watched it. I'm not a
What
big
is
fan.
it?
It's called Dope Sick.
It's about the opioid crisis and
Oh,
how the FDA was an active and responsible party in that.
Well, the other thing that the FDA does is they change their wording a lot. And so if they come out and say, oh, Allergen has these breast implants this is not a quote, so don't quote me, but this is an example. If Allergen comes out and says, oh, sorry, we need to take our textured implants off the market. We're going to do it kindly. Like, you're not forcing us to, we're just going to do it because we're such nice guys, which is a total lie. The FDA will put that verbiage in their on their website. Well, then like a year later, it'll say something completely different.
Mhm.
Somebody said, well, that doesn't look good for Allergen. And so they're protecting Allergen. They're not protecting you and I.
And now they're doing the same thing with these new Motiva implants. It's really sick because they're promoting these, not necessarily the FDA yet, but the manufacturers are promoting these new and improved Motiva, like the new generation. They're super safe, but they're still putting them in women, and women are still getting sick. I know a woman personally who, Sears, you know her too, but she
oh,
was in the clinical Motiva trial, a breast cancer patient who had a mastectomy and got reconstruction with these brand new Motiva implants. Well, she got sick. She went back to the surgeon who was in charge of the clinical trial, said, I'm sick. I want these implants out. And he told her, you're going to have to go elsewhere if you want that. So this woman who was in this clinical trial was left, she went on TikTok, for God's sake, and put out a call. Can anyone help me? I'm sick. I have breast implants. I don't know what to do. And someone tagged me in her TikTok video. And so she ended up flying here and had an explant with Dr. Khan last month.
we just had her on. We just had Ashley on. We had her.
Oh, that's wow.
I tried to get her on. Actually the day before her surgery, but we just couldn't time it out right. But she came on the week after we had her
Wow.
on. Yeah.
Well, that's how Motiva treats breast cancer patients. Yeah,
Well,
real nice.
here's my thing is I don't know. I'm blown away. So women way back in the day got implants and they seem like those were okay. But now as they're getting, weren't as bad back then. It seems like, I don't know. I don't know for a fact, but it seems like the ones now everybody gets sick from more than they all did back in the day. I don't know. Is that inaccurate?
I would challenge you on that. And Robin Tout would be a really great one to talk to about that, because that woman, talk about research.
She
would
knows.
have
She
answer
knows.
for you, and she would have numbers for you. But I think what's happening now is social media. They can't shove us under the rug anymore.
That's true.
So before, they just told women, you're crazy. And
You're
And
probably
they would
right.
have to go to the library to try to find research and medical studies. And it was like spinning their wheels, because what do you do if you don't have the internet? How do you even begin to look something up like that?
That's true.
That's not, doesn't even have medical records.
I didn't
So
think about that way, but yeah, you're right.
yeah. And there's a couple women in our advocacy groups who would be really, really great guests on this podcast, because they were back in the 90s, they were fighting for all this, and they got sick back then.
Wow, we do. We need to have them on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to
Okay.
have hopefully some surgeons on that go with aesthetic flat closure and do that and are happy, and that are not pushing, because a lot of these doctors push.
And you know what? There's a great one right here in Grand Rapids, and she's actually not a cancer surgeon. She actually is more famous for being a trans top surgeon. But what happened was,
She does so well with that.
yes, and women with breast cancer started hearing about her and saying, wait a minute, I want that look. I want that flat, neat closure. And so now she's found that because she's so skilled with top surgery, women with breast cancer are starting to flock to her.
Yeah, amazing.
It
I've said
isn't.
that a few
Take a list of
times.
all these doctors.
I've said it a few times because I had a friend fly all the way to San Francisco to have top surgery, because nobody in Indiana would do it without the nipples, because she didn't want, she's still a she, but she wanted top surgery. She was uncomfortable. And she flew all the way out there, and the job he did, and then he did lipo underneath her arms so she didn't get the dog ears. And I was just like, why are they doing such a better job at top surgery than they are for us with cancer? And it's like,
Right.
because these doctors are choosing to do that. These other doctors are not
Yes.
wanting you to do that.
Exactly. So eventually, I think everything will be patient guided. So if the patients are demanding, hey, I want a nice flat closure, I want to be smooth, and if you can't do it, I'm going to go somewhere else. So now these surgeons are finally starting to catch on, and they're listening to us, because if they want to get paid, they better listen to us.
I hope you're right.
I do too.
You're
I'm
right.
I think they have to, at the end of the day, I think no matter what, they're going to have to listen to us. And we've had a couple of people in our group, in the Flat Out Love group, that have said, I went to my doctor and said, you know what? You thought I wasn't going to be happy this way, but I'm very happy this way. And I can't remember who it was, but she changed her doctor's perspective on it, because he was like, you'll never be happy this way, because it was what his idea was. And she changed that. And he's like, oh, and she showed him our community and like the magazine that we were in. And
Yeah.
he's like, his mind has been changed.
Yeah.
I think
I would like to encourage women on that note too, or anybody, that people's first response is not always their forever response. Because kudos to my cancer surgeon too, because when I first approached her on going flat and removing all the reconstruction, and I said to her, how can I work with you to make flat closure more available to women, or can we just talk about that with women more? And her first response was really hesitant, like, that's a touchy subject, and it really makes women upset. And so I kind of sat on that and thought about it for a while. And I did things like I joined committees at my hospital, and I joined the Patient Family Advisory Council, and I joined the Service Excellence Committee through Trinity Health. So I got on hospital committees and councils, and I started talking about my story.
Good for you.
Yeah. But then when I went back to her a year later, and I brought our flat brochure that we have, and I said, I know it's a hard subject, but would you be willing to carry these flat brochures? Because I know that cancer is an upsetting topic. And we as women need to feel that we should have the right to express our emotions, even if we get upset, if we cry. We should have the right to do that without creating barriers to information. That's not fair. And she said, I would love to carry that brochure.
Wow.
So now she's carrying the flat brochure, and she goes, I want to be as flat friendly as possible. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what we want.
My cancer center is really good. Like, they have this, our we were the centerfold of a magazine, Christine. It was a 55 and older magazine, but still I was in centerfold.
Nice.
But they have that up on the wall at the boutique at my cancer center, where they take the women back to fit them for their prosthetics. They have it on the wall there.
That's
And
wonderful.
then the nurse navigator, the head of nurse navigators, went ahead and gave all of our information to the rest of the nurse navigators, because every one of them are going to touch one of the cancer patients. One of them are going to touch every one of them. So my cancer center has been sending people to us for a long time. I had a different care team. I mean, it was different than what most people have. That's what it should be.
That's
Across
what it
the
should.
board. And it shouldn't be, I had a special treatment, it's not like that. It should be that I had normal treatment is what it should be.
Yeah.
It should be like that. They should be like, oh, okay, flat's okay. You don't have to have boobs to be a woman, as they say,
No.
because society.
And I think a lot has to do with the federal that was passed in 1998, I believe, the Women's Health and Cancer Rights Act, which requires insurance companies to pay for reconstruction. So, we can skate around it all we want, but reconstruction is big business.
It is
big.
And I had 4 surgeries. So we can just, do a little math in our head and take a wild guess.
How many did you have, Christine?
Well, I've had 28 and with my arm and my chest. So about,
Ugh.
I mean, I'm in the teens.
See,
sure.
and I've
Maybe
had
two mastectomies.
2, and I've had 2.
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole, like, yeah.
That's that. Every time you go under, it's a health risk.
Quality
And
of life.
everything else alone, just with the
Quality of
surgeries
life.
alone,
Quality of life.
the surgeries
yeah.
alone is just done,
And it's-
one and done.
It's so hard on your body, but plastic surgeons, it's their job every day. They're cutting people open
Yeah.
and they're doing these surgeries, and they act like it's really no big deal and I understand, to them, it's not really a big deal, but to our bodies, it's a big deal.
It's a lot.
I kind of did the same thing when I had my dog ears removed and I had a lymph node transplant. He said, oh, I can give you a tummy tuck. He gave me a little lipo in there, which obviously you've seen me, it didn't work. But I've got a scar from hip to hip now, and it's a horrible scar.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But I mean, same with me. I mean, they didn't put anything in, but he's like, let me, I can do this. And
Yeah, just
I
like
mean, I'm sure he got paid more, of course, and that's why.
talk and no big deal, right?
Yeah, it's not like that. Not
Well,
at all.
visibility. That's what we're trying to do.
We've got to keep being
This
seen.
podcast, share it, keep it out
Yeah,
there,
right.
keep it going,
Right.
because we should go to hospitals. We should go to like big hospitals, like
That's what I want to do. I want to do
Cancer
that.
Treatment Center of America has tons of hospitals in the country. There's other
Go
organizations,
speak.
tons of hospitals where we can go and we can talk about aesthetic flat closure and the benefits of it, and try really get the doctors on board. I think that's our biggest enemy right now.
Well, yeah, and and I thought about that too, and I actually talked about to Lacey about that, because she did a TED Talk, and she wears her blazer with nothing underneath it when she does her TED Talk, and I wear a blazer with nothing underneath it for my show.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that, going to hospitals, and like you do, you're you professionally speak, I guess you would say, a speaker. Do this at the hospitals. We could do this, do keynote speaking things at hospitals about this.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, and I've actually been
like
working
you said,
on that.
Becky, in the beginning, we're not saying you shouldn't have implants. We're saying everybody should have the knowledge and the choice. But if they don't have the choice and they don't have the knowledge, then that's not fair.
Yeah, and really nobody talks about the benefits of flat closure. And if you think about that, how could they? They don't know. They haven't lived our lives. They don't know what it feels like to not have
I
breasts.
say that all the time.
I tell women, having no boobs is amazing. I mean, of course, when you find out you're losing your breasts, it's very sad. And make no mistake, I had some major mourning time about that, where I cried all the time. I was devastated.
Of course.
But once you get past that, there's a freedom there. And I tell women, it's kind of like when you're 7 years old or 8 years old and you're running outside in the front yard in the sprinkler with no shirt on.
Mhm.
I feel like that every day of my life. It's that body freedom of a child, but I have this middle-aged woman's mind. And it's It's amazing. And nobody talks about that. So I try to tell women that all the time.
Yeah.
It's true, but I don't have the mind of the middle age. I got the child still in that too, but one of
And
those,
all the societal rules around women and breasts, they don't apply to me anymore.
Right.
And then I call it like the boob monitoring in our minds 24/7, right? Like, what bra should I wear with this shirt? Can you see through this? Are my nipples showing? When I bend over, is this V-neck too low? I mean, it's like constant every day. Should I wear a sweater? And all of that is completely gone. And
I try to wear, I wear shorter or lower cut stuff now where I'll wear my shirts unbuttoned more. It's the
Right.
weirdest thing. I just, here, look at this.
I do too. I do too. I have like this formal dress and it goes woo way down. It shows
Yeah.
my scars a little bit. I love it.
I wear my suit jacket or my tux, or not tux, my suit from the fashion show. She let me go without a shirt on underneath in the fashion show. And I wore $1,000 suit without a t-shirt or without a shirt underneath it.
Nice.
She goes, just don't unbutton it. And I said, I don't want him to see my belly. I want him to see my scar. So I'm not unbuttoning it. But I mean, that's huge. And she wouldn't let me do it the year before. And she's, you know, people are starting to, you know, and I was talking to somebody about this and I was like, now, seriously, think about this. If you didn't know me and you got diagnosed, your first response would be new boobies. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, but now that you know me, and she's like, yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know,
see,
but nobody
first
thinks that.
is not their forever response.
Mhm.
So as we keep getting out there in the public eye and saying, hey, I don't have breasts and I'm living this happy, healthy life, other people are going to see that. And not just other women, but other men and other kids. You know, I walk around the house with no shirt on all the time. And to my 11 and 15-year-old son, being flat is completely normal.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
My
it's-
neighbor comes downstairs and I don't have a shirt on. I'm just, and I have friends that come over and I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah. And I did the American Cancer Society breast cancer walk with no shirt on, and I had like a princess tulle
I
skirt,
show that picture all the time. It's
a
beautiful.
booby crown, and I've never had so many people come up to me in my life and want to take pictures with me. So that one I did in Lansing at the Capitol, but this year I'm going to do it in Grand Rapids at the Cancer Walk.
I was so proud of you for that.
Thank you. And that was really hard for me. That's really outside my comfort zone, but not really anymore. You know,
It's addicting, isn't it?
it is, and it's wonderful to see people's responses. And I actually had a woman come up to me and she was just bawling. And she said, and I was with Dawn and we both had no shirt on. And she said, you two are the bravest women I've ever seen in my life. She said, I was diagnosed however many years ago. I think it was like 15 years or something. And she said, I've been ashamed of my body ever since, but I'm not going to be ashamed anymore. And I was
That's
like,
why these meetups are
oh
great.
my gosh,
Yeah.
that to just give her that freedom just by seeing us. That's all. So, you know, in our groups, we say, if you can see it, you can be it, right?
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
why these meetups are so important though, because unless you see somebody like you, you don't understand that, oh, I am okay.
Yeah,
You know, to look this way.
absolutely. That's why you're so cool. Because you create these meetups where we can go and we can find our community and our people and our purpose.
I thought it was because of my mullet is why it's cool, but
Oh,
Well, that too. And you go in cold water naked with me.
I did. We did a polar flatty plunge in
awesome.
Colorado. Yeah.
awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Very fun, wasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think you're right, Christine. I think, you know, if we can we're getting flyers for us to get Flat Out Love in the doctor's offices, because if, you know, they need to be at these doctor's offices, you know,
Yeah.
just even if they're out there with the other pamphlets, that they have something to look at least,
Yes.
you know, is a step in the right direction. And what you guys are doing, trying to get the FDA to make sure that they'll tell them about the side effects, which, why is it not like that, like it is with all the other medicine I take?
I'm going to find that out.
Because is it because it's not an actual drug and it's a thing? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
I'm sure that the law with the pharmaceuticals is for the pharmaceuticals.
And
Mhm.
not for them, mechanical,
not
mechanics
for
or
medical devices. And
devices, yeah.
you also have to remember, Sears, that the medical device industry makes way more money than the pharmaceutical industry. So we're talking a much more
That's
powerful industry.
crazy.
And I don't think it's
That's
as regulated.
crazy.
No.
Crazy.
Yeah.
In fact, if you there's a documentary on Netflix called The Bleeding Edge. Have you guys seen that?
I don't watch TV.
Well, it's interesting because it talks about the approval process of medical devices through the FDA. And they mention breast implants, but it's almost like they're saying, ooh, we don't even want to go there.
We're just
But-
breast implants, keep going.
Exactly. But it goes into the Essure, which is the implanted birth control devices, and how many problems women have with that, and hip replacements. And so it's really interesting just to see, it walks you through the process of how these medical devices are approved. And it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I need to check that out. Yeah,
For
we'll
sure,
find
for sure.
out we'll find that answer for you, Lisa.
Well, I just, I'm wondering because I mean, it doesn't make sense how they have to go through all these side effects all the time. Like when I was in that drug study, she sat and read to me for 10 minutes, every bit of it. And she's
Good.
like, you're not paying attention. I said, no, because I don't want to know what you're telling me because guess what? I'll have those side effects.
But
I
no,
No, we want to know. We want to know. We wanna-
correct. And I was just
talk
like,
about-
I heard you once. I don't want to keep listening to it because you're going to keep putting it in my brain. And that's the side effects I'm going to have.
and
You know
that's
what I mean?
but
But
you
they
know,
told me.
exactly. So to not have that information, that's not fair.
That's what I mean. How can they have to read that for 10 minutes to me? And yet this, they don't even have to show you or tell you anything.
And how can I go to 9 specialists and not one of them ask me if I have a medical implanted device? That should be on the intake form of every single specialty doctor in the country.
That's a good point.
That's true. You're
really good
right.
Because if I answered that one question and it was yes, do you have any implanted medical devices, including breast implants? Yes. Okay, well, then we could just at least know that.
Yeah.
And maybe point someone in that direction, like, oh, well, hey, this could happen.
Well,
Um,
that's why it's so important to talk about breast implant illness.
Yes.
Because years ago, doctors would say that doesn't exist. And now
Well, they still do.
They'll say that.
They
Some
still
do,
do.
yeah. But yeah, you're right.
We just, our
We're saying it more.
our advocacy group caught wind of a plastic surgeon in Washington, and she is ahead of one of the American Society of Plastic Surgery groups out west. And she actually just made an Instagram video stating that not only do breast implants don't cause cancer, but they actually, there's studies that show it decreases your risk of breast cancer if you have implants.
What's her Instagram?
Right?
I'll have to look it up.
Message her.
Yeah, don't put it on there. We don't gonna give her too much shout out, but
Oh, no,
you
I'm
can
definitely
read
gonna
personally.
get.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna post it. I'm gonna send her a message.
No.
I'm not posting her stuff. I'm gonna send her a
Well,
message.
I'm not
if-
saying it on here.
What happened was a bunch of us underneath commented and said, please go to the FDA and read about these cancer links connected with breast implants. And please reconsider this video or your stance on this. And she deleted all of our comments and blocked every single one of us.
Interesting.
We're not blocked.
Yeah, interesting.
And so, because you want to tell yourself, maybe she hasn't seen the FDA updates. Maybe she's just kind of in her own little world out there and she just doesn't realize, right? That's what I tell myself. I want to pretend like these people really want the best for women's health. They don't want anyone to be sick.
But wait. But she's going out of her way to make
Exactly.
a video that they are healthy. So she's heard from someone.
She knows they're not. She knows they're not.
And then to delete all of our comments and then to block us all. That's so telling right there, because why wouldn't you
Right.
just say, oh, thanks for bringing this up. I'll look into that. Screw you, whatever. I don't care, but to just delete the comments and then
Block you.
block. Yeah. I can't even look at her account anymore.
Yeah, I can't wait to find out. Not on
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I'm gonna find
No,
out.
yeah, I don't want everybody to know. But no, here's the other question I really have though is why do they pay for the implants to be put in? And again, you can get them replaced, but they will not pay to have them removed.
Well, they're
Why?
supposed to if you have breast cancer. That's part of that federal law. So if you have
Well-
any surgeries connected to mastectomy, insurance is supposed to pay, but they try to weasel their way out of it. And my insurance company denied my surgery with Dr. Khan twice,
Mhm.
and I had to appeal it twice. So, and
Did they finally get it with the end block and they provided that?
they finally paid my claim, but I had documented that I talked to a customer service rep before I even had my surgery with Dr. Khan. What I did was I called to see if it was covered. And they said, yes, it will be covered. And I said, are you sure? And this guy said, yes, I'm sure. And I said, can you go double check? He said, yes, I'll go double check with my manager. He came back. Yep, I checked with the manager. It's covered. I said, can I have your name, please? He gave me his name and he goes, here's my badge number. I didn't even ask for that. So during my appeal process, I had all that documented. And so that's why they paid me. Because one woman said to me, the appeals claims manager said, they're not supposed to give you their badge number. And I said, well,
Well, but here's the thing, you had to go appeal it. They don't do that with implants when you're just replacing them or getting a new pair or any of that, getting them put in. You don't have to do all that.
interesting. Yeah.
That's my point. You know what I mean? Why does
Right.
Dr. Khan and they don't, well, Ashley hit 3 different doctors that said they won't do the end block. That's not covered or whatever, you know.
And I think because that's such a more of an involved surgery. So that's why Dr. Khan doesn't take insurance, because they only want to pay a small percentage of his fee, because in their mind, oh, you're getting your implants out. They just make a slit and pop them out. In some plastic surgeons offer to do it in the office under local anesthetic.
So did you have to pay for your surgery?
I had to pay for it up front, and then I finally got reimbursed, but I had to appeal twice.
Did you have it all reimbursed?
Every penny.
Wow. Okay.
Ashley had to pay for hers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, most do.
And it depends on your state law. And again, I had on record that I called and asked, and they had told me over the phone it would be covered. And I think that's might be why. I don't know. But
You shouldn't have to fight it like that though.
exactly.
You don't fight for when you want to get.
If you think about it, I'll never have to have another lift. I'll never have to have them replaced. I'll
No
never
boob
have
sweat.
no boob spot, no revisions, no replacing. So in the long run, it's better for them. So that's what I don't get.
Well, the insurance, yeah. Well, you know, they don't do things like that.
All I can
don't know.
say is that these manufacturers must have a huge influence on insurance companies. That's all I can think of, because monetarily it doesn't make sense why they wouldn't pay for women to get them out.
Yeah, you're right. Interesting.
Well, they do if they're replacing them. They'll remove it if you're replacing it, and they'll pay for it.
Exactly. That's my point.
That's mind blowing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just glad I didn't go through that. I went and looked at them and I was like, I don't think I want to put something like that in my body with my MS.
Well,
I just
you
want to have one surgery and done because of my MS. And I didn't know anything about it. I just went because I loved boobs and I went and played with them. And I even have a picture. I took a picture and put it on my Facebook, you know. I'm thinking about these, and I put my pillow in and it was like, what do you think about double D's? And everybody's like, yeah, do it. And I just glad I didn't. I just didn't want all the surgeries.
dodged a bullet. You dodged a bullet.
Yeah, I did.
And you know, that kind of speaks to another one of the societal myths is that implants are like some kind of silver lining or booby prize to getting breast cancer, right? So when we're diagnosed and people say things like, oh, well, you're going to have perky boobs for the rest of your life, or, oh, you get a free boob job, or so it makes everybody feels better, right? If we get something out of this, and it makes breast cancer pink and pretty and kind of fun. And it totally it's a lie about what breast cancer really is.
There was
And
a
it's
guy that did, oh, sorry. There was a guy that did comedy with me. And he was like up and he was like, if you guys ever want your wife, your girlfriend to get new boobs, just have her get breast cancer. And everybody's head snapped to me. And I looked over at his wife that was filming it and she was laughing. And I was like, what am I supposed to say? She died a couple of months later from diverticulitis that she'd never had issues with before her implants. And I
Yeah.
said, told you those
The-
implants weren't good. And he's like, it was diverticulitis. I was like, okay.
The whole narrative around reconstruction is, society
It's
thinks
horrible.
with the save second base and save the tatas. and-
Tatas. Mhm.
Yep. It's a harmful narrative, and
Save the
it's,
Hooters.
yep, we just really have to rethink that.
Well, we're trying.
Dude,
All of
we
us.
are. I mean, it took me, I bought savethehooters.com when I first got out of it because I'm like, I'm going to save them titties. I didn't know. You know what I mean? It took me a minute to change from save the tatas, save second to base, save the Hooters. I had shirts made and everything. I paid $700 for that website.
I didn't realize it either, but I don't think you do realize it until you go through it, right? How would we know? And
I
we
didn't know
all,
until I met the Flatties.
yeah, we all want a silver lining around cancer because there's no control when it comes to cancer. And that's really the bottom line is we,
It's true.
push down these feelings of lack of control with things like save the tatas and save second base and free boob job and, oh, you're going to have perky boobs the rest of your life. And sometimes with cancer, there's not a silver lining. And we have to be honest about that.
Well, the silver lining is the community. We have each other.
Yes. And the human connection, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
never would have had a Victoria's Secrets model call me in my life had I not had cancer. So I'm just saying, there's silver lining.
Someday
Yeah,
we're gonna meet. Someday we're actually going to meet.
We are in person. I'm gonna
Hug.
be your first flat hug. Yes.
Sure.
I might go to, you said Fashion Week. I'm like, oh, I think I kind of want to go with you. And it's right after we end up in Niagara Falls. So that might just work out.
And yeah, you have to come. You have to come. That would be
Oh,
awesome.
so bad.
man. How cool would that be?
My cousin goes, you will end up on that walk. I bet you. And I'm like, maybe in a pair of boxers.
Just bust up there and start running down the runway.
I think I'm doing Miami Swim Week again, which is in July.
Ooh.
I have to tell my boyfriend first. Because
Now, Christine, I heard you say something about a swimwear line once that you're working on. Can you
Yeah.
tell me about that?
yeah, so I am working on a couture swimwear line only because the brand is a couture brand. So we've been working on it for a couple years, but because of product issues, it has not been completed yet. So I actually started working on it with another brand in New York, which is not going to be a couture line. So I actually have two different lines that are coming probably within the next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you
Awesome.
going to do anything where it's like, see, and I don't know, usually bathing suits are going to have two parts to it. Like I just wear shorts and I've seen a lot of women just wear the bikini bottoms, at the beach and stuff like that. Cause I mean,
Yeah.
why not?
Well, that's an
We
easy,
can.
but a lot of people want a top. So
Yeah, but I was thinking like a knit top that you don't cover. You could see through. They just give them something, something like that where you can still see it. Cause I always want people just to show it so he can be seen. I'm always like, just take the shirt off. It's okay. Come on.
Hey,
that's one way to do it.
you got me out of my little bubble. So if you can get this evangelical sheltered little thing that I am out of the bubble, you can do that with anybody.
We'll see.
I'm trying. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
Yeah, I had so much fun and I just appreciate you both so much.
And thank you for the work you're doing with trying to get these laws changed and stuff. Because like I've said before, we have the meetup group and there's all these other groups, but we have our own lanes. And if we don't have you guys, this isn't going to be as big and helpful as we need it all. So thank you for doing that part of it, because I'm not doing that part. You forget.
Yeah, and you know what? I love how we all have our little branches that we see now, and we're doing our advocacy in our own little avenues, but
Yes.
it's all so important. And
It is.
in the long run, it benefits everyone.
Absolutely. It takes a village. All of us need to participate.
You
For
bet.
sure, for sure.
Get it done. All right,
Thank
guys.
you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Bye, Becky.
Bye-bye, Christine.
Flat Out Secrets with Christine Handy and Sears.